Hello again. So I figured since we are humanities-based teachers who often use text in our classrooms, it might be beneficial to show you an awesome online tool like Actively Learn. So to get started, click on Create Free Educator Account, and you would see that screen once you click on the link on the Canvas modules. It's easier to use a Google one like your school one, but for right now, what the screen I'm on is once you logged in, it's basically like your quote unquote home screen once you're done that sign up process. This is where you can access content like articles or text sources. For example, if I click on social studies, I can select a topic and it divides text by different categories. So it is pretty broad in what it's opening and what's available to you. You can also narrow down using reading level adjustments and standardized adjustments as well. So for right now, let's just click on this social studies link, and I'm going to go to U.S. involvement in World War II. So just as an example of what you can see, here's some textbook sections. Obviously, view more right up here. You can explore primary sources, a really awesome resource for both English and social studies teachers, and any outside related articles that you can use within your classroom. Okay? So for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for the Japanese Internment Bundle set. And you can see this down here. This is basically just a bunch of articles, primary sources that gathered together for a common purpose. And for this one, it's lessons on Japanese internment. So you can go ahead and click on it. And the first screen that you see is an overview screen. They're going through each of the individual texts wrapped up in this bundle. If you don't click on a bundle, you're just going to obviously see the article or the primary source that you are going to be distributing to your students. So let's go through some of the top bar that you guys see up here just so we can clarify some of these basic functions. For text settings, you can adjust some of the margin and the spacing for your readers, and your readers can do the same as well. You can adjust text size, you can scroll through some very minimal font options, and then themes, okay? You can also have use of dyslexic settings so we can differentiate even further. You can share it in different ways, but the sharing is really minimal if you only have the free account, so we're just going to ignore that for now. I'm going to skip to notes, questions, vocab, and print, so you can view all the individual things that you're highlighting within this article. You can look at all the individual questions you're asking, and you can look at any key vocabulary that you're asking your students to define. You can search within the document itself, and you're going to see this button, the table of contents button, if you choose a bundle set of articles. So if we click on this, these are all the articles wrapped up within the actual bundle itself. All right. So for this one, I'm just going to click on the Korematsu story. And this is your basic level of what it's looking like as you're scrolling through it. Now, as you can tell, here's where the annotating part or segment comes in. For each of these, there's basically notes or little pieces of information that you can add within the article that help your students track their understanding of it. You can also include questions as well. Notice anything locked is on the prime plan, so we're just going to have to ignore that for now. But this is an open-ended question that students can answer by clicking on this, and they see all of this embedded within the document. You can also scroll down and you can actually cite or put in, I'm going to quickly scroll, some outside sources as well. So for this question, they said watch the video below. It includes clips of Fred Korematsu's sharing about his life. So this is just a nice addition onto this article overall. Now, let's say that you don't really particularly care for some of the things that Actively Learn has put in the article within itself. So what you can do is actually edit it yourself by using this pencil mark. I'm already in the edit function of it. So let's say I do want to edit it. I like this last paragraph. Let's say I want to insert a question, a note, a link, a whiteout. Let's say question. So I want to pick a standard. Maybe I want to, get some meaning out of this. and have them apply it to the real world. Okay, I type in my question and then I just hit save. You can also add in some media just like they did with the YouTube video below. I really like that feature. It just adds more layers and dynamic to this. You can also adjust it and put in a poll for your students, and you can do multiple choice questions to see if they're truly gaining reading comprehension by completing this. So I'm just going to hit cancel for now. I wanted to show you some other functions that this has. So let's just highlight fear is ignorance. You can insert a note, which is, these are already notes that have been included by Actively Learn throughout this article, but you can insert your own as well. Again, you can insert an outside URL or a link. You can also white something out. So if you don't like an element of the article and you want to remove it, you can simply white it out. And it's not like it's gone forever. You can always see it through the eraser mark, and you can restore it whenever you'd like. Okay? Those are just some of those basic functions. Okay? Now, let's go through the assign portion. Whenever you do want to assign it, you just select whichever one you want. You can choose specific sections. We'll just do the entire text for now. And I've created a course called Test. All right, so just click on it. You hit the assign button. For now, I've already assigned it, so I myself am just going to hit cancel. So it's assigned to my test class. Here is what the students are actually seeing when they log in. So this is my test view for me pretending that I am a student. So I'm going to click on this. This is my assignment for it. You notice that they're seeing the same exact screen, the absolute same exact screen. They just don't have any editing features. Now, if we want to start off with the very first one, it's going to go bit by bit. I have an introduction, a video I need to watch. I have notes that I can follow. Let's say I don't understand what solemn means. I can define it over here and we can see exactly what it means. So this is great for any ESOL learners. I can also in that same function hear it as well.
Solemn.
And you can change it if you'd like. I like some of these.
Solemn.
Solemn. So you can also highlight and take note. Interesting. And we'll just save that. So that's my own individual note that I put on there as a student. So I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to pretend to answer this and just say blah, blah, blah. It's a question, a reading comprehension question, and I'm going to hit submit. So then finally, once all is said and done and the students answer everything, they just hit submit. And then you get basically a receipt of that submission. All right, so I'm going to actually take you now to that screen. We're going to exit and we're going to return back to that home screen that we all started with in the very beginning of it. This is remember, your access point for all of your sources. So if you want to look at student responses once they have completed this, hold on. Okay, once they've completed this, you can go to the test class and you'll notice that I have one ungraded response. So some of these features within Actively Learn are really locked up for Prime accounts only. You can't really access too much through the gradebook, but what you can do is look at each of them individually and you can get a good idea of what they're understanding from there. So if I wanted to grade responses, notice how me being the student, I answered blah, blah, blah. So let's say I want incomplete and I'll just say needs additional support, okay? So that lets the student know that direct feedback has been given, it has been graded, and we can move on from there. Now, if you're curious, you're not just seeing their answers to your questions that you've laid out. You can also look at any of the notes that they took. So anything that they have highlighted, you can actually see it within there. Now, it doesn't look like it for right now. Really important. You need to click on Kristen Anderson. I'm the test student. I highlighted solemn earlier in this screencast to demonstrate to you guys. We can see what each of those students are putting on as their notes. So if you wanted to do a requirement that students had to annotate a certain portion of whatever they were reading, this is a good way to check and ensure that the students are actively annotating whatever they are currently working on. Okay? So in order to ultimately invite your students to an assignment to actively learn, what you're going to need to click on is roster. And then right here you have a class code, but the class code is also embedded within this invite students button. You click on invite students. You can embed this link, copy and paste this link into whatever assignment you need. And then you can make sure you copy and paste this code because they'll definitely need this access code. They can sign up with their school Google account in order to complete this. But this is just a great way to have students be able to read, analyze, access text outside of class. So you're not eating up precious class time by really diving into the actual text. You can work one-on-one with students. You can have class-wide discussions with students. They can do build a project after reading any sort of a text. So this really saves time and allows you to become a little bit more engaging with your students with a piece of text. Thanks.